You feel something changing inside you, but you don't know exactly what. You're no longer attracted to the same people. You no longer want to force relationships. And yet, your heart knows it's preparing for something great, something pure. What if this emptiness you feel isn't a lack, but a place that someone else is earning somewhere? While you watch this video, there are subtle signs that Allah sends. Not to obsess you, but to soothe you. Not to make you dream, but to prepare you. It's no coincidence that you're watching this now. What you're about to hear could enlighten you to a truth your soul already suspected. Stay until the end. Because the signs you're about to discover don't just speak of love. They speak of destiny. Yours. 1. The silence of a heart inhabited by God. There comes a moment, often discreet, when something inside you stops begging. It's not that you no longer need love. It's that you've stopped seeking it where people give without understanding, where people take without commitment. You no longer reach out for that which doesn't nourish the soul. And suddenly, there's no more noise. No more questions. Just silence. An immense silence. But sweet. That silence is the sign that your heart is beginning to trust. Not in a person, but in Allah. It's strange, isn't it? This feeling of no longer running, of no longer hoping with anxiety. As if your heart had remembered that everything destined for you will come to meet you, even if you stop fighting for it. And this is exactly where divine preparation begins. For when Allah wants to unite you with sincere love, He doesn't start by sending someone. He begins by removing you from what is slowly destroying you. He closes the door you wanted to force open. He tears from you the illusions you called love, but which were only disguised wounds. He begins by rehabilitating your soul. He distances you from half-heartedness, empty promises, relationships that make more noise than light. He creates a void around you, not to punish you, but so that you can, finally, hear Him. You then notice a subtle change. You no longer accept ambiguity. You no longer tolerate temporary presences. You feel a form of peace that doesn't come from people, but from your detachment from them. And this detachment is not indifference. It is wisdom. It's your heart that stops begging, because it's finally being filled with what lasts. You see, when Allah loves you, He doesn't offer you ordinary love. He first gives you the ability to survive without it, so that the day He sends it, you won't be a slave to this bond, but capable of recognizing it as a sacred trust. The calm you feel today, this impression of being alone but at peace, is not a punishment. It's not an end. It's the waiting room of pure love, the one where Allah only allows those He wishes to preserve to enter. You may not have a human promise before you, but you carry a divine promise within you, and Allah never forgets those He silently prepares. 2. Somewhere, Allah is weaving the story of two souls without their knowing it. Imagine. In a corner of the world, while you listen to these words, someone, silently, is walking towards you. You don't see them. You've never met them. Perhaps you've never even mentioned their name in your supplications. And yet, this person exists. They're breathing somewhere, struggling somewhere, hoping somewhere. Perhaps at this very moment they're gently closing the door on a painful chapter. Perhaps they're crying in a prayer you'll never hear. Perhaps they're finally learning to love themselves as Allah wants them to, so that one day they can love you the right way. In the invisible, there's a story being written silently, a story that neither you nor they nor they control. And yet, every step, every flaw, every detour is precisely permitted. Because Allah does not allow two sincere souls to wander indefinitely. You may think you are alone in your wait, but what you are experiencing, what you are enduring, what you are building within is not isolated. It is a parallel process, a two-tiered preparation. While you are learning to love Allah above all else, he or she is learning the same thing on the other side of the curtain. You don't yet know who he or she is. You don't know his or her face, but perhaps you already feel his or her absence. And it's strange, this sensation that your heart is crying out for someone your eyes have never seen. This silent certainty that your soul is connected to another you have not yet recognized. It's not an illusion, it's the trace of a decree. When Allah decides to bind two souls together, He often begins by breaking them, not to punish them, but to purify them of anything that would prevent them from loving each other as He desires. What you are experiencing is not a delay. It is not an injustice, it is a refinement. He or she may still need to learn to recognize you, even in your silence. You may still need to learn to love, even in absence. And while you doubt, Allah shapes. While you hope, Allah adjusts. While you walk alone, Allah brings you closer. Two paths, two stories, two hearts. And at the center, a single author who knows exactly where your stories intersect. 3. When your soul senses someone it doesn't yet know, there are those mornings when you open your eyes for no apparent reason, but your heart is light, as if something has just lit up inside. You haven't received any message, no visible sign, but you feel a softness in your chest, a discreet light that nothing and no one around you can explain. It's not a coincidence. It's not naivete. It's the silent trace of a spiritual bond in the making. When Allah begins to unite two hearts invisibly, it's not always dreams or sudden encounters. Sometimes it's a simple shudder upon waking, a calm that arrives without cause, a sudden serenity when nothing has changed in your life, externally. But inside, it's something else. You feel your heart has refocused. You no longer hunger for judgmental glances. You no longer thirst for lukewarm relationships. You are no longer attracted to pleasure. You want purity. You no longer want to be seen. You want to be recognized for who you are before Allah. And that strange, almost mystical feeling that a soul somewhere is moving towards you, thinking of you without yet knowing you. It's not imagination. It's often a spiritual response. A breath that Allah places upon you to prepare you. As if He were saying to you, continue, you are not alone. Another soul is also awakening. You may have already prayed, perhaps even cried. Perhaps you've cried out inwardly for someone to finally come and love you unconditionally. And perhaps you've forgotten those prayers, tired of waiting. But Allah, He forgets nothing. And sometimes He answers you without words, without a person, without an event. He answers you with that tremor of peace in your heart, that feeling that someone exists somewhere, someone who won't save you because only Allah saves, but who will love your soul in the direction of Jannah. So when you feel that calm, and that inner smile that you can't explain, it's not a coincidence. Perhaps it's a sign, not a sign that this is it, everything is happening now, but that something is happening in the invisible by His permission. Someone is beginning to change, like you. Someone is giving up on the world to earn your heart. 4. The invisible construction of a bridge between two hearts. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine two rivers, far from each other. Each follows its own path, winding between the rocks, widening, sometimes losing itself in the twists and turns. They don't see each other. They don't even know they exist. And yet, somewhere, Allah has already traced their meeting point. You live your life. You move forward with what you understand and what you don't. You face torrents. You fall into crevices. You sometimes think you're moving away from everything. But in truth, every turn brings you closer to it. For while you cross this desert or this storm, He is laying one by one the stones of an invisible bridge. A bridge that neither you nor the other person have seen, but that your hearts sense. Every prayer offered is a stone. Every breakup you endure to remain true to your principles is a beam. Every solitude you accept without stooping is a pillar. Every night you rejected illusions and think dignified waiting is a rope stretched toward the other shore. And on the other side, perhaps that person is experiencing exactly the same thing. They too are moving forward into the unknown. They too think it's over, that they missed their chance. But Allah sees the bridge in its entirety. You can't see it, but every time you say no to what destroys you, you're saying yes to what is being born. And that yes, even silent, even exhausted, even uncertain, it's a form of worship, because it shows that you believe in something greater than yourself. That bridge you're building in secret, it doesn't just lead to one person. It leads to a connection that makes your soul grow. A love that doesn't tie you to the earth, but lifts you up to the one who unites hearts. And when you finally set foot on the other shore, you won't just find someone to love. You'll find a mirror, a companion in battle, shaped by the same heavenly worker. Someone who, without knowing you, crossed their own desert to deserve to reach you. And in that moment, you'll understand that nothing was in vain. 5. Will I recognize him, her? What if it were tomorrow? What if I ran into him, her, without knowing? What if it were her, and I walked past? I often wonder, will I know her? I look at people, I see smiles, gestures, glances. But nothing really speaks to me. So sometimes I think, maybe I'm too closed off. Maybe I'm looking for an obvious sign, a spectacular light, a heartbeat that turns everything up and down. But what if that wasn't it? What if the real sign was calm? Not excitement, not butterflies, not perfect scenarios, but that inner silence. The one that says, I don't need to run away from this peace. The one who makes you want to stay, not out of fear of being alone, but out of gentle evidence. I believe that on that day, my heart won't cry out. It won't need to scream, it's him, it's her. It will whisper quietly. It will say something like, I can breathe here. I don't need to defend myself. Because it won't be an encounter that disrupts your exterior. It will be an encounter that aligns your interior. He or she won't strike you with unreal perfection, but with a simple presence. Who doesn't ask you to be someone else. Someone who doesn't pressure you to heal faster, to understand faster, to please faster. But who waits for you, as Allah waited for you in your slowness, in your silences, in your imperfect returns. You'll then understand that it wasn't love at first sight you were looking for. It was an anchor. And even if it's not spectacular, it will be obvious. You may not know it with your head, but your soul will recognize it. Because Allah doesn't bring together two souls who have waited for nothing. And in that gaze, there will be no empty promises, but a direction, the same. A you and me, not face to face, but side by side. turn towards Him. That is true gratitude. Not an emotion that explodes, but a stability that lifts you up. If you felt that certain parts of this video spoke to you, it's not just a coincidence. Perhaps it's an answer, a divine preparation, a confirmation that you're not waiting, so you're on the way. But this path is not one to travel alone. Surround yourself with light. Stay connected to the one who knows exactly when and how to bring two hearts together. Subscribe if you want more reminders that nourish your heart and reconnect you with what love should truly be. Like and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that pure love still exists, and that it's being built in silence. And above all, never stop believing that what's meant for you will come, but not before Allah has made you ready to receive it.